time to get out of the comfort zone because these people aren't playing games.
We're going to organize. Humanity's going to come together. We are swinging muskets here, toe-to-toe with the globalists. They're bloodied. We're bloodied. It is absolute, total war. It is Thursday, the 19th day of April, 2012. It's another edition of INFOWARS Nightly News. Coming up after the main news segment, we're going to do an in-depth hour-plus interview with preparedness expert Joel Skousen, dealing with his book, Strategic Relocation in North America, 3rd edition. This will definitely be some life-saving information and is for hardcore preppers who actually want to be prepared, not just have a big bucket of flashlights and batteries and firearms. So that is coming up. But first, let's jump right into our top story. Red alert, draconian CISPA bill picking up sponsors ahead of vote next week. It's got over 100 co-sponsors in the House of Representatives, and all the major internet watchdog groups are on record saying this is some of the most draconian anti-internet legislation they have ever seen. Meanwhile, speaking of internet, rights group demands investigation into Google wiretapping and Street View. Now, the government, I told you a few years ago when they started this investigation, is just doing it to look like on the surface they care about Google trampling on people's rights. Google itself is a division of the CIA funded by In-Q-Tel and using NSA technology. And Street View is only the tip of the iceberg. They are involved with the onboard cameras and microphones on your computers with AI systems recording everything going on in your home. And how do we know this? Because they admit they have the software and are doing it. But they say it's okay, a computer's listening to you. All of this beyond 1984. Speaking of cars and wiretapping, in 1997, under federal regulations, not law, all of the new cars have boxes that track where you go, what you do, how fast you were driving. That was all the U.S.-made cars, but 2001, it was all foreign cars. Now they want it to where it has audio, live time feed, and you pay for it. You pay for the NSA Trojan horse system when you buy the car. All of that is piggybacked into it, just like the cell phones and the toasters and the microwave ovens that General Petraeus says is watching you. But if you don't like it, you're still a conspiracy theorist. Those of us that didn't trust the corrupt technocracy were always the bad conspiracy theorists for questioning known liars. Now it's all admitted, but we're still bad. Shifting gears into the brighter side, Congressman Ron Paul's son, Senator Rand Paul, has come out and pointed out that Interpol is trying to do deals with the U.S. to extradite Americans, not under U.S. law and extradition agreements, but to extradite us under foreign law. And at the Durban, South Africa meeting a few months ago, the UN said that if you disagree with man-made global warming and don't want to pay your money to Al Gore and Rothschild, you should be arrested, and Interpol will come snatch you off the street, put a bag over your head, and throw you on a rendition flight that flew into the U.S. bringing in opium that they delivered to us and fly you out to a torture site overseas. That'll teach you to not talk bad about Lord Rothschild. That's a big news-making interview. And one other part of our big interview exclusive with Senator Rand Paul yesterday. Rand Paul leaves the door open for BP slot. Vice president position would give Senator an influence on the direction the country goes. Quote, Paul was included on a short list of 10 possible candidates to become Mitt Romney's running mate by the Washington Post earlier this week. Speculation that Rand or his father, Congressman Ron Paul, would be in line for the VP slot has circulated for months. And then that opens up a larger debate here. The fact that the system would even debate trying to get them into their system shows that people are waking up Liberty's popular. So is it a co-op to even discuss it? Or is it good to leave the door open and talk about having that type of influence for constitutional issues? All I know is Rand Paul has a great voting record. We'll ask Joel Skousen coming up what he thinks about that later in the transmission this evening, but a big story at INFOWARS.com. Continuing here, it's been 2 years since the Gulf oil spill took place, and we have seen massive fish die-offs, death in many areas of the Gulf with the flora and fauna living in the sea. And we've seen a lot of problems in the coastal regions with continual die-off, not just of plants, but also animals. But now Al Jazeera is reporting on major studies in the United States showing huge increases in deformities in all sorts of different life forms, crustaceans, amphibians, fish. And, of course, the bigger disaster in all of this is that the crude oil itself is not that toxic. The core exit they used tens of millions of gallons on to make it sink to the bottom was far more toxic and has been connected to these problems. Speaking of deformities in fish, we're seeing massive deformity increases in humans, and birth defects are skyrocketing all across the world. We're seeing 3- to 4-fold increases in U.S. troops having deformed children, 14 times increase in Fallujah where they used depleted uranium. Shows the madness of the global elite taking the toxic waste of nuclear weapons development and putting it into weapon systems. But there's a story in USA Today. Girl born with no hands wins National Penmanship Award for her beautiful writing. And it just shows that even though the globalists are attacking humanity, and increasing pediatric cancers by more than 10,000%, the human spirit will continue to prevail against their most vicious attacks. So a positive story, a silver lining in an otherwise very, very bleak situation. Speaking of people who saw off the population's legs, economically, physically, spiritually, and then offer us their tyrannical crutches. Queen Beatrix, whose father was a Nazi and founded the World Wildlife Eugenics Fund, Queen Beatrix's brother-in-law calls for mandatory birth control for the unfit. And what's happening now is all the eugenicists have gotten together, and they've all come out in mass and said, yes, we want one-child policies. Yes, we want to kill the infirm. Yes, we want world government. There's, a coming out call for this after Hitler discredited what they were up to. He said, people will accuse me of going too far, but to be honest, that's an easy thing to say if you do not know the facts. My eyes have been opened by seeing the problems. You're a big rich guy living off state money and want everybody else dead. I got it. They came as a shock. You can see that these parents need help since they have no control over their own lives. When it's clear that's the case, perhaps contraception should be the best step. And in a way, that's even true. But it's the state that created the nanny state in a plan to destroy families and make us dependent. Saw off your legs, offer you a pair of crutches. Speaking of the devil, eugenics, if there is a devil alive on this earth walking on 2 spindly legs, who looks like Ichabod Crane of the Headless Horseman tale of Sleepy Hollow, it is Bill Gates. And we noticed a trend about 4 years ago in major newspapers, TV, ABC, you name it, of Bill Gates. He's Superman. He's the Fantastic Four. He's Green Lantern. He's a hero. He wants to get vaccines into you because he cares about you. And all the documents where he admits he wants to sterilize you or kill you. And then we started discovering, we've done reports on this, Aaron Dykes has one up today, comic book hero crafting the image of eugenicist Bill Gates as a lifesaver. Now, that's Aaron's headline. I told him to go with the headline. This is what this really is. Bill Gates pays media to say he's a superhero. I mean, that's how cheesy this is. ABC News, London Guardian. Look at Aaron's article. Hundreds of publications, dozens of TV networks worldwide are paid. It'll actually say in the footnote, Bill Gates paid for this. It's product placement, propaganda. And now they're coming out with comic books about how he's the savior of Earth. This is a guy that says, you kill grandma, you hire 10 people. The teachers are like, in the meeting, murder. I mean, that video's online. Type in Bill Gates endorses death panels. I played it 30-something times, won't play it again tonight. And I mean, he's just selling you on an implosion economy instead of a win-win economy. I mean, Bill Gates is a monster of galactic proportions. So get the story out. Comic book hero crafting the image of eugenicist Bill Gates as a lifesaver. But the executive headline that I would give it is, Bill Gates Scandal, scandal, colon, Bill Gates pays media to say he's a superhero. Does it get any more pathetic? Perhaps when this TV show goes up on YouTube, we'll actually give it the headline I had. But great job, Aaron, putting that story together. Continuing here, ladies and gentlemen, redefining action hero. Why TV shows compare him to Batman. That's what Jon Stewart said. There's no hero like Bill Gates. Batman. So everybody knows if the corporate media tells you something, it must be true. Continuing here, let's talk about real environmental threats. I want to show viewers a document cam shot because Earth Day is coming up. And this is the Austin Chronicle, dedicated to globalism, deception, fake liberal, neo-connery, and every other form of deception you can imagine, pinning dozens and dozens of fake hit pieces against me. Just check it out for yourself. In the last 15 years, they had their eye on me for a long time. This establishment propaganda outfit that puts on South by Southwest, where they scam all the trendies to come here thinking they're going to be big stars. Lewis Black, that's his stage name. It says, Earth, fun while it lasted. And then you can read about, give up all your rights to Al Gore, and he will save you. He will take good care of you. And it's all about how wonderful Walter Cronkite, the eugenicist, who openly said that he was for population reduction. Okay, well then, Walter, you're dead now. You're off the planet. So all you that endorse this commit suicide. The point is that they're always selling you on fake environmental threats. The oxygen that plants let off is evil. The carbon dioxide we exhale in the carbon cycle with plants is bad because they can tax us and make us the bad guy. Not open air genetic engineering, cross-species pollination, pharmacological crops that produce pesticide within them so the bugs can't eat them and die. So Monsanto demands that they plant refuge corn, in one case we covered, so that the bugs have something to eat because it's wiping out all the bugs and birds if they eat the stuff we eat. That's the real threat. Fish infusion, nuclear weapons, all this type of stuff, not humans, so the establishment can pose as saviors and say, you know, the Earth, it was good while it lasted. Here's an article at INFOWARS.com. Blamed for bee collapse, Monsanto buys leading bee research firm. In fact, Biologics company information states the primary goal of the firm is to study the very collapse disorder that is thought to result, at least in part, of Monsanto's own creation. Another edition of INFOWARS Nightly News. Coming up after the main news segment, we're going to do an in-depth hour-plus interview with preparedness expert Joel Skousen, dealing with his book, Strategic Relocation in North America, 3rd edition. This will definitely be some light. We're going to organize. Humanity's going to come together. We are swinging muskets here, toe-to-toe with the globalists. They're bloodied, we're bloodied. It is absolute.
And it's time to get out of the comfort zone because these people aren't playing games.
It is Thursday, the 19th day of April, 2012.